Agatha All Along, obviously premiered with a double bill, and then
Yes, it
her
did.
third episode came out today.
Much
We
shorter
didn't know what to
episodes.
expect.
No, we didn't.
I said I think it will be visually interesting, but other than that, I have no real expectations.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say something, and I do genuinely mean it as a compliment. Some people would take it as like a knock on it. I mean this in a good way. It doesn't feel very Marvel-y.
I get you.
It feels like a story that is being told, and actually you could probably enjoy this if you hadn't watched WandaVision. You'd be a bit confused. Like the witchiness and like this kind of creepy at times, but like the spooky kind of fun, creepy base level vibe is actually really difficult to pull off. This kind of everything is spooky, but in this really fun Halloween way,
and then shit,
to like genuinely scary.
Yeah,
it's impressive.
So I think I'm similar with you. Like it felt weird compared to what we're used to, and I think that came from episode 1. I finished episode 1 kind of being like, so on it. It didn't. Something felt weird, and I'm realizing now, going and looking at it, they did what I thought they were going to do with like different witch films and it being a different style of episode. The first episode was, it's basically a mirror copy of The Mayor of Easttown, I think the show's called.
Oh, okay.
Which is a cop show, female detective. There's a body in the woods. And the idea, they've obviously mirrored that style. And I think that's why, because they've done what we expected them to do, like they did with Wanda. But
they're having fun with the visual styles.
But they did it with detective. And it wasn't what I expected for the witch show. And I'd say the second episode definitely got me more into it.
I really, really enjoyed when she came out of the trance.
Yes, she broke out the spell. That
kind of confusion for a little while, which makes complete sense. She's been in this trance essentially for 3 years since Wanda left.
Yeah.
And she's like trying to piece stuff back together. Aubrey Plaza came in and stole the show in episode 1.
Yeah, she was great.
Big time. I loved the scene where Agatha began to unravel all of it and went back through all of her costumes from WandaVision.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah, so when it started, I was like, because I genuinely forgot that she got put under a spell at the end. That so when
cast in the role as the nosy neighbor permanently.
Yeah, so then when it started, she's like, she's a cop. I'm like, is this just how she's been existing since? And she's just pretending to be a detective. And then when the FBI agent, Rio, I think she's called.
Yeah.
She's like, Audrey Plaza's character. Clearly was like, you don't realize what's going, like, was obviously ignoring this story that was going on and being like, do you know what's actually fucking going on? I was like, hang on.
Where we are.
Yeah.
You know who I am. Because she's like, I know you hate my guts. And I've walked in here and you've had no reaction. What's...
Yeah.
And it was like when she said, why do you hate me?
Like,
and obviously, in the context of what we're seeing, it's supposed to be, you're the FBI, you take my cases.
Yeah.
But you can tell from Plaza's delivery that she's like, do you know why you actually hate me?
So, like, when that started, and then she starts having weird visions, I'm like, oh, wait, there's some fuckery going on here. To when, like you said, when she starts ripping through the outfits, I'm like, oh, she's going back through the Wanda episodes. And I was like, wait, did Wanda do something to it? And then obviously we get shown that that all happening, and then she sprints outside just butt naked. And the neighbor guy's like, whoa. Doesn't know how to react.
Funny. Did you notice the symmetry between how she interacts with the neighbors versus how she had interacted with them in her crime fantasy?
Yeah, like he was behind the tape, which obviously is fence.
And then he was behind the hedge. Yeah. That, again, very thoughtful. And this is what I said as a bare minimum what I expected from this show. Thoughtful decisions stylistically was the only expectation I had, and they've not missed on that.
No, they have brought what I thought they would do similar to WandaVision with that, but they did it in a way I wasn't expecting.
Yeah,
because I was expecting like, we'll get the Yellow Brick Road, and we'll get these like very iconic witch film vibes, but they threw me off with like a detective show.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, great. And then yeah, her realizing all that, realizing that the lad that she arrested was actually in her closet. Yeah.
Yeah.
The car she'd been driving to the crime scene was a fake set up in the living room.
When she gets in that and she goes, "Oh, this isn't actually a car," and it's like that last penny dropping to bring
Yeah.
her back to the real world. She's like, "Okay, I'm actually good now." It's almost like she needed to get in the car
Yeah.
once to be like, "Okay, no, I'm actually good now. Everything else makes sense."
So like that first, like that last bit of episode 1, I was like, okay, I'm so like, this is weird, but I'm like, I wasn't like, oh, this is amazing, but I was like unsure.
It's definitely one of them ones where the 2-episode premiere
Yeah.
was needed.
Yeah. Episode 2 with the whole like going around and finding the other witches, the little like them playing it up to each other like their acts, and then realizing, oh, I know who you are,
Yeah.
dropping the acts.
Really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed like the expansion of witch lore in the MCU a little bit. If you've got different kinds of witches,
Yeah.
they're among us. The idea that at any one time a witch is within 3 miles of another witch is interesting.
Yeah. Like the rat theory, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, that was a really cool episode. The big bit of episode 2, late episode 1, episode 2, I'm not sure which, is when she asks Teen what his name is.
I think that's
and
episode
his
2.
mouth gets covered.
Yes.
So the running theory is that he is Wiccan, one of Wanda's
Yeah,
children.
which is what people were guessing from the trailer.
So for those of you who don't know, and I don't know how much crossover there be, the actor who plays Teen is also the leading character in Heartstoppers, which is a Netflix drama based on a book about 2 teen lovers, 2 gay boys.
Right.
Very important queer story. The show has been amazingly successful. And I'm not sure if the actor himself is gay. I believe he is, but I don't know for sure. But that's kind of the theory as to why they hired him. And people like, in the trailer, he came across quite camp. And in Heartstoppers, I believe he's quite camp. And people like, Wiccan, despite being gay, has never come across as that camp. I've not read a lot of Wiccan. I don't know.
Yeah.
What I will say is, so far in the first 3 episodes, he's not seemed overtly camp.
No.
I think that fear that they were going to change Wiccan, if he is even in fact Wiccan, I think that should mainly be alleviated right now. I'm enjoying Teen a lot. I think he's brilliant.
Yeah. I think he's great. The whole like sigil thing, do we know? Because that looks to me like a W-ish.
Maybe. Now, I'm telling you, once we get the reveal, you're going to be able to go back and look at what's going on. But like in the first trailer, because in the trailer they show him trying to say his name and it getting covered.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, I'm sure his mouth is saying the words Billy, which is Wiccan's name.
The thing is, they could have had him say anything they wanted, and they'll just mute it.
They're definitely trying to get us to consider that it could be Agatha's lost son.
Yes, that was my overthought. Because obviously I knew the Wiccan thing from the people talking about the trailer. After watching these first 2 episodes, I'm like, is this son that she had?
So either they wanted everyone based on the trailer to assume it's Wiccan, and then they make it Agatha's son.
Yeah.
Or they're giving us the clues of Agatha's son to muddy the waters, so that when the reveal of Wiccan happens, even though people thought so beforehand, they're a little bit surprised still.
Yeah.
Either way, it was interesting. We got our first official Mephisto mention.
Yeah, he did get mentioned, didn't he?
Which people lost their minds over in episode 3. So far, I'm really enjoying the show. I thought episode 3 with the first trial.
Yeah, so
was a really good way to flesh out the characters.
So episode 2 ended with that song, the ballad.
The song, then they got
attacked the creepy
weird monsters.
Yeah, the fucking creepy witches.
And then they dove onto Witches Road. Like, you know what? This is the only way out.
Yeah. So that's I mean the song was a banger. Like they're all singing the song. It was so cool. And then the jump scare of the creepy witches, and then the one coming down the stairs like The Exorcist. I was like, nope,
The
No, thank you.
the goofy, silly, fun witchiness
Yeah,
being the baseline, and then out of nowhere, then ramping it up to genuine like horror
yeah.
is so impressively done.
Oh yeah,
Because
it's
when
so
you
well
set
done.
your baseline as like all fun, like imagine going for a haunted house and 90% of it is like goofy children haunted house where like the spiders are clearly plastic and you can like see the thing they're dangling off, and then
Yeah,
all of a sudden you go out what you think the exit is and you get like a genuine man who looks like he should butchered 7 people for one last jump scare. That is
yeah.
genuinely the tonal shift
Oh
they're
yeah, yeah.
pulling off here.
I've
It's so impressive.
It is very well done. And then yeah, episode 3 we get the first trial, which again has goofiness, has the same vibe as Wanda with the like reality change when they walk into that house and all their outfits change. And then each of them having those visions, hallucinations or whatever,
Showing a little bit of their big trauma that's led them to
yeah,
this situation.
are done with the proper horror vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And again,
And
that
also
like
very
contrast.
wise. Bearing in mind we don't know much about these characters yet, they
Mm.
visually made each horror distinct, so
Yes.
that just the second they cut back to it, based on color or whatever, you're like, oh, we're back with this character.
Yeah.
Very, very clever. I was very, very impressed with episode 3. Episode
Oh
1
yeah.
and 2 were warming us up, they were getting us going. Episode 3 sold me on this premise wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I would agree.
My only complaint is Sharon dying at the end.
Do you know what? I was
Oh,
really
well,
hoping she was gonna actually eventually reveal herself to be a witch.
I am suspicious of Team because of that. He's not been involved in anything so far. He's a little bit too comfortable with the idea of dying. We don't know a lot about him. And he's the only person who checked on her. And he just said she's dead.
I mean,
that
the camera shot we got of her, and we know that they gave her the antidote like right on the last.
But I'm just saying, he's in potential fraud. He's got a tick on potential fraud. I'm a little bit suspicious of him. Just note it for later, boys. Don't vote him this round. We're fine.
But yeah, her dying was like, I was really hoping something was going to click and she was finally going to reveal herself as a witch.
I think that would have been a very, very cool story arc. The only other thing I want to point out with like cool visuals and nods was in episode 2 when they're in the basement, stood in a circle, and it cuts between them doing the headshots.
Yeah.
A lot of people are pointing out that was very similar to that 70s show in which the actress who plays Sharon plays the mother Kitty. And obviously they're down in the basement, there's some weird smoking, and it's cutting between just their heads as they're having a conversation. Everyone's like,
that's definitely on purpose.
There.
That's definitely on purpose.
So yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's fucking fun.
The something I did see, that whole Witch's Road with the blue leaves was a practical set they full on built for them to film on, which I think 100% was like it helped sell that vibe of that place.
When it comes to VFX for me personally, them building the ground they're walking on as a bare minimum always helps sell it because the way they're interacting with that floor is honest.
And also something like that with a forest, very easy to hide on a volume and not notice it be a volume if they have done that, like at the back of it. I also saw some shots from the kitchen being flooded. That was obviously all practically done. I wondered, there was the what is essentially a water slide when they came out of the oven. I thought that was so funny because you could obviously tell it's stunt actors just yeeting themselves down a water slide essentially. But yeah, I agree with you. The third episode really sold me on the show, and I'm down with this idea that each episode is another trial for the next few.
Absolutely. I think we're gonna have some real fun.
Yeah, same.